If you're one of the 12 people that come to my channel for Apex Legends news, this video is for you. No, not 12 people. It's more than that. Is there less than that? I don't know. Regardless, let's cover it. Today, we're going to be talking about the update that went live in Apex Legends. I was sitting in a coffee shop, jotting down some notes, planning for a future video in regards to Apex, and I was pretty much done. I was planning out my video. That's what I like to do. I like to just kind of jot down all my ideas, go through them, kind of mentally prepare, and then just spew out all the information in a natural way, all the things that I've kind of been going over. And then I got a notification on my phone. Apex released a tweet talking about an update that went live at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Now, it's a great update. I'm not gonna lie. It's covering a lot of things that we've been struggling with in Apex, and it's covering a lot of areas that we haven't seen progress, and they have finally spoken. And I think the frustration that's coming from the community has been well-deserved, in my opinion. Being somebody who plays the game and has played the game since the start, I've grown a little bit frustrated with the lack of content, lack of updates, the lack of progress they've made in making the game better for us who put a lot of hours in the game. This update is covering some of that, and this is exciting. I'm actually excited to hop into this, to share the update that has been put in place. I don't want to take too much of your time. Let's just hop into everything that they've discussed. They've labeled this update the Thicc Boys update, kind of jokingly, but let's stick with that. So today is the Thicc Boys update. So the first thing that they address pretty quickly, right off the bat, is one of the main issues that we've been struggling with, and that is the hitbox detection on 3 legends: Pathfinder, Gibraltar, and Caustic. We've been having some issues with those characters because they are larger characters and they're easier to hit. So when you're using those characters, you might find that you get hit a lot easier at distance that maybe you wouldn't get hit if you're Wraith, Lifeline, and so on. So Pathfinder, they said that it was quite easy to adjust his hitbox. They didn't have any issues with that. But for Gibraltar and for Caustic, they seem to have had some issues. So let's get into that. So for Gibraltar, what they did, and for Caustic, they added what they're calling a fortified passive perk. And basically what that's going to do is that's going to decrease the damage that they take by 10%. So, I mean, that's okay. I mean, they're trying to do what they can to make the hitboxes more manageable. And by doing that, I guess they struggled with Caustic and Gibraltar based off the size, maybe the width of these characters. So they decreased the damage by 10%. That's fine. What they also did for Gibraltar is they increased the effectiveness of his shield from 50% to 75%. And I guess that's just like, you know, we didn't know what to do, so let's just make his shield better. The only thing with that is when I use Gibraltar, I don't use his shield because he's so easy to see, right? His shield is so bright. His shield is still going to be easy to see. They've just increased the effectiveness of it, which is great, but I don't use his shield, so I'm gonna have to see how that plays out. Like what they did for Caustic is they did the 10%, but they didn't actually make anything about him harder to hit per se. They kind of just abandoned that for Caustic, and they made his gas trap damage went from 1, so it used to just hit 1s, 1, 1, 1, 1 when you're in the smoke. Now it hits 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. So they just kind of increased his damage, which, I mean, those traps to me are super irritating in the first place. Are we recording? I swear, if we're not recording. So that's fine. I mean, they just made him more effective on the offense, which I guess makes sense. When you throw Caustic's ultimate accelerant, they increased that from 28 meters to 33 meters. So that's what they did about the hitboxes. At least they did something. I mean, maybe it's not the greatest thing, but they're just still trying to figure it out. And they have said that they're going to monitor that. So we'll keep an eye out for that. One thing they wanted to note is they noticed in the game that people are complaining about this, and they noticed just by tracking it how snipers are at distance. So they took the G7, the longbow, and the triple take, and they kind of buffed them in a way that is going to make them better at distance, which, I mean, they're distant weapons, so they should be better at distance. So here's what they did. So for low leg damage, there was a decrease of damage from 25%. What they've done, instead of 25% decrease of damage, they lowered that to 10%. So essentially, the gun is 15% more effective at lower leg damage, which kind of makes sense. There was a 33% reduced base weapon sway and a 25% reduced base weapon speed. So your gun is not going to sway as much. It's not going to sway as fast. That's basically, just to sum that up, that's what that means. Now let's go over things for the longbow. So for the longbow, they increased the fire rate from 1.2 to 1.6. They increased the magazine size from the standard 5 to 6. So now it's going to have 6 ammos in the standard mag. And for the common, rare, and epic magazines, they've increased the common from 6 to 8 in the magazine. They've increased the rare from 8 in the clip to 10 in the clip, and the epic from 10 in the clip to 12 in the clip. So that's good. I mean, the gun shoots slow, so when you're in the epic range, you're not essentially going to be reloading your gun at all. I didn't use that gun that much anyway, so I don't think personally I'm going to notice a huge difference, but let's just keep going here. So for the Havoc, they wanted it to compete with all the other assault rifles, so they definitely did a buff to the Havoc. The base magazine size went from a 25 to a 32. They've also made some changes, made it more effective in regards to the charge beam with the Havoc. So the close shot damage went from 55 to 60 per shot. At range, they increased it from 45 to 50, and close range damage fall off from 35 meters to 75 meters, which is actually huge. So far better at medium to long distance. And then the long distance fall off, they increased it from 75 meters to 125 meters. So this gun's going to be far more lethal from medium to long range. It's already quite effective at close range, as you might notice if you've used the Havoc, especially with the turbocharger, but that's what they've done for that weapon. For the Wingman, so this makes absolutely no sense to me. I'm going to be honest with you guys. They decreased the Wingman ammo capacity from 6 to 4. I don't really understand. I find the Wingman a lot harder to use. And you know, when they first nerfed the Wingman, the two guys I play with definitely noticed a decrease in how effective it was. I didn't. I was kind of in denial. I was like, no, I just still find it effective. And then it got to a point where I was like, no, you guys are right. This gun is absolute garbage now. If you can hit your shots with it, it's good, but it's just harder to use. It's definitely the kick on it. So once you shoot it and it kicks, it's harder to get your shot lined up. That's what I have found. They've decreased the capacity of the ammo from 6 to 4. I don't know. I don't think that makes sense. And then they've made a decrease to the magazine sizes when you get extended mag for the weapon. So the common used to have 8, now it's got 6 in the clip. So now if you pick up an extended mag that's common, it's just the normal Wingman again. The rare, they decreased it from 9 in the clip to 8 in the clip. And then from epic, they've decreased from 12 to 10. They're literally making the gun worse and worse and worse. And I'm surprised because it was a great gun in the start. They could have done subtle changes, but by making the recoil so much worse, and now the ammo is less. So I don't know. I'm confused as to why they even touched the Wingman. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but that's what they've done for the Wingman. As expected, they've nerfed the Spitfire in many ways as well. So they reduced the base damage from 20 to 18. So when you're shooting guys up close and you see the damage kind of build up, it's going to build up in 18s instead of 20s per bullet. And then the magazine size as well. So the common extended magazine size went from 45 to 40. The rare magazine size went from 55 to 45, and then the epic magazine size went from 60 to 55. As to be expected, they nerfed the Spitfire. We kind of all expect that. Very fun gun to use, very good gun to use. I still think it's going to be very effective. They've made it a little less OP, which I think is okay. For gold guns, they've made some changes. Now this is very obvious to me. This should have been done from the get-go. If you use any of the scopes, you know what scopes are good, what scopes are a waste of time. And they put a lot of the waste of time scopes on a lot of the gold guns, which made no sense to me. So for the Havoc, for the gold Havoc, there's now a turbocharger instead of the single fire, which this should have been done in the beginning. Obviously, the turbocharger is extremely effective. So there's a turbocharger on it, and then a 1x to 2x halo scope. That's a very usable scope opposed to the one they've had on there in the past. The R301, same thing. They put the 1x, 2x halo scope on there. In the past, they had that terrible long-range scope on it. It was so terrible. And then the Wingman, very easy. Very obvious. They put digital threat on it instead of the adjustable scope as well. So digital threat, which is a great scope, they put on a gold gun that you barely find. Makes sense, right? Makes sense. So they've made a few other changes. I want to just kind of turbo through here. I'm going to actually put the link below so you guys can kind of go through it. Obviously, I've gone through it a little bit throughout this video, but if you want to go through the notes yourself, you're more than welcome to, of course, and I'll link that in the description below. So one thing they have talked about is they're going to start having events for the Battle Pass, and they're going to start promoting ways that you can get extra experience for the Battle Pass. And I've found the Battle Pass extremely slow. In the beginning, it was unbelievably slow, and then they made it obvious. We've made it so that there's ways that all you have to do is use other characters and you can level up faster, but I still find that it's quite slow. I think they've noticed that, and they're going to be showing us ways that we can upgrade our Battle Pass even faster, which is great. So one of the ways that they've stated that we can upgrade our Battle Pass, for example, if your first match of the day, you get into the top 5 of squads at the end of the match. So if you make the top 5, you automatically level up once fully, and this will happen once per day, which I think is great. So we are guaranteed, if we get in that top 5 in our first match, you level up your Battle Pass completely. So, and I believe it's actually worth 30,000 experience. I'm not sure how this is going to play out. It's about 30,000 experience. I'm not sure exactly how this is going to play out. So what if you're 3/4 of the way through your battle pass and then you hop into a match, you make top 5, are you only just going to make it to the next level? Hopefully they figure out a way to manage that so that you get the experience worth and not just the level up worth, because if you're 90% done that level of battle pass, you make it to the top 5, you get that next level, you're really only getting what, maybe 3,000 experience. I hope they figure out a way to make that some more fair. The jump shift, they have increased the speed of the jump shift by 50%. What they said in the article was that they're finding that people that want to land further down the map are just waiting way too long, and I completely agree. If you want to go Skull Town and you're coming in on the jump shift from the opposite side of the map, you're better off just flying in from way further out than waiting on the jump ship. It's a complete waste of time to wait on the jump ship. Everyone jumps earlier. I think that's what I find. So that's pretty much it for a majority of the patch that went live today. So that's something you guys can watch out for. One of the things I wanted to mention is I have definitely grown frustrated, and I know a lot of people have, but at least they're starting to recognize things and make some changes now rather than later. There's a lot of things they need to change in the game. I think we can all agree on that, but ultimately what we're seeing is an effort put forward that is starting to make some changes into the game. I would rather that than them do the actual thing that they're doing. I mean, they still say this in the article, we hear you. And I've kind of grown a bit irritated with that saying. We know that you hear us. I mean, everyone tweets you, I tweet you, everyone on Reddit is talking about it. You guys, we know that you hear us. That's not the point of what we are doing here. We're growing frustrated, right? We don't want to hear, we hear you guys, we're doing our best. You know, that kind of just grows a little bit irritating. So ultimately, we're just happy to see something come out, and we know that going forward, we just want to be kept in the loop on these things as people who play the game, as fans of the game, and we just want the game to be better. That's all we want. So thank you guys for putting out this update. I think it's a huge thing. If you've enjoyed this video today, if I maybe informed you on some information that you were unaware of before, go ahead and like this video. It does actually mean a lot. Subscribe to my channel for future videos, future updates, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.